Senior archivist Wheeler had spent 300 cycles monitoring the deep space communication arrays. His job was simple but important. He watched for signals from ancient times, cataloged them, and kept the historical record safe. Most days were quiet. Old signals kept transmitting their recorded messages, and nothing ever changed. Today was different. Wheeler's third eye focused on the display screen, while his primary eyes scanned the data streams. Something had changed in Sector 9. Signal that had been silent for 80,000 years suddenly activated. His breathing tubes fluttered with excitement. The Wanderer's call was transmitting again. Every child in the galaxy learned about the Wanderer's call in their education programs. The ancient beacon had guided the first civilizations when they reached for the stars. It taught them mathematics, science, and how to travel between worlds. Then, without warning, it went silent. No one knew why. The precursor civilization that built it had vanished, leaving behind only ruins and questions. Wheeler checked his instruments 3 times. There was no mistake. The beacon was active and transmitting the same greeting it had sent 80,000 years ago. He immediately opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council headquarters. Within hours, the council chambers filled with representatives from dozens of species. Speaker Mord, a massive being with blue-gray skin and 6 arms, called the emergency session to order. His voice rumbled through the translation devices. Archivist Wheeler has brought urgent news. The Wanderer's call has reactivated. We must determine what this means. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives believed it was a simple equipment failure. Others thought natural cosmic phenomena might have triggered the old beacon. A few whispered that perhaps the precursors had returned. Security Director Kess stood from her seat. Her species was known for their military discipline and sharp minds. We should send observation teams immediately. This could be a threat. And describe. We started 42 and is skidding 42. Wheeler shook his head. The beacon is transmitting the same message as before. Nothing hostile. It appears to be functioning exactly as designed. After 80,000 years, Kess's eyes narrowed. Nothing functions that long without maintenance. The debate continued for 3 days. Scientists examined the data. Historians searched ancient records. Engineers analyzed the beacon's energy signatures. Everything pointed to one conclusion. The Wanderer's call had reactivated itself following some programmed instruction that finally triggered after countless millennia. Then the impossible happened. Wheeler was reviewing old precursor texts when his communication device chimed. The signal was marked urgent. He opened the channel and felt his respiratory system freeze. Someone had responded to the Wanderer's call. The response came from a different location than the beacon itself. It used mathematical protocols that were even older than the Wanderer's call. The message was brief but clear. It contained prime number sequences, geometric proofs, and harmonic ratios. It was the universal language of intelligence. Wheeler ran the signal analysis and traced its origin point. His hands trembled as he read the results. The response had come from the Sol system, deep in the quarantined zone of the galactic arm. The Sol system was home to a primitive species called humans. They had barely achieved basic space flight. Their world was listed as a Class 9 death world. The Most dangerous category in the galactic database. The Council had placed the entire system under observation protocols but maintained strict non-inference. The humans were not ready for contact. Yet somehow they had detected the Wanderer's call. They had decoded its ancient language, and they had responded using precursor mathematical protocols. Wheeler brought his findings to the Council immediately. Speaker Marthath reviewed the data with obvious concern. Other representatives crowded around the display screens, their various forms of expression showing shock and confusion. How could a preftal species accomplish this? One representative asked. They do not have the technology to detect signals at that range. Wheeler pulled up additional information. I have been researching the Sol System's history in our databases. There are irregularities. System appears in very old precursor records under a different designation. Origin Site Theta 3. The chamber went silent. Origin Site. Mord's voice was barely a whisper. You are suggesting the humans are connected to the precursors? I am suggesting we need to investigate further. Wheeler replied carefully. Coincidences are too significant to ignore. An ancient precursor beacon reactivates. A species from a system marked in precursor databases responds using precursor mathematical languages. We must learn more. Kess stepped forward. I must share classified information with the Council. Our monitoring stations have tracked unusual human activity. 3 cycles ago they launched a deep space probe called Pioneer Alpha. It carried experimental communication equipment. The probe reached the edge of their solar system. We believed it was primitive exploration. She pulled up new data on the screens. Our analysts now believe the probe detected the Wanderer's call. Reactivation. The humans not only detected it but decoded the message. Their response was not random. They knew exactly what they were doing. The Council chamber erupted in heated discussion. Some representatives argued for immediate contact. Others insisted the non-interference protocols must be maintained. A few demanded military observation in case the humans posed a threat. Wheeler waited for the chaos to settle before speaking again. I request permission to lead a covert observation team to the Sol System. We need answers. If the humans are somehow connected to the precursors, the implications affect every species in this chamber. All of our civilizations were seeded on their worlds by precursor biological programs. If the humans are precursor descendants, then everything we understand about galactic history must be reconsidered. Mord looked around the chamber, reading the mood of the representatives. Finally he nodded. The Council grants permission. Assemble your team. Archivist Wheeler. Maintain strict observation protocols. Do not make contact unless absolutely necessary. Report your findings immediately. Kess approached as the session ended. I am assigning military observers to your team. The Sol System designation as a Class 9 Death World is not ceremonial. That planet has killed everything that evolved there except the humans. Whatever species survived, that world will be dangerous. Wheeler gathered equipment and began preparations. He pulled up every file in the galactic database about Earth and its inhabitants. The more he read, the more concerned he became. The humans had evolved on a world of extremes: violent weather, aggressive predators, deadly diseases, and constant geological instability, yet they not only survived, but thrived. They had spread across their entire planet. They built civilizations. They created art, music, and literature. They developed science and mathematics. And they reached for the stars despite every obstacle their brutal world placed before them. As his ship prepared for departure, Wheeler looked at the image of Earth on his screen, a blue and green world that appeared peaceful from space. But he knew the truth. That beautiful planet was a forge that had shaped something remarkable. The humans had heard the call of their ancestors. Now the galaxy would learn what 80,000 years on a death world had created. Council chambers had never been so crowded. Representatives from every major civilization pressed close to Harthar's research findings. He stood at the central podium surrounded by holographic displays showing ancient texts and star maps. The precursor civilization called themselves the inheritors. Wheeler began. His voice was steady despite his nervousness. They achieved faster than light travel. Approximately 100,000 years ago, at their peak, they controlled thousands of star systems. Then 80,000 years ago, they vanished. Every precursor simply disappeared. No bodies, no evidence of war or plague. Just empty cities and functioning technology. Speaker Morathath gestured for him to continue. The massive leader leaned forward with intense interest. Wheeler activated another display. I have discovered something in the deep archives. The precursors initiated a program called the scattering. They deliberately seeded hundreds of worlds with biological samples, DNA sequences, embryos, and genetic instructions. The program's purpose was to spread life across the galaxy. We know this already. One representative interrupted. Our own species originated from precursor seeding. Yes, Wheeler agreed, but there is more. One system in the precursor database is marked differently. Origin site Theta 3. The coordinates match the Sol system exactly. The chamber fell silent. Every being present understood the implication. You are saying the humans are not a seeded species, Mord said. Slowly, you are saying they are the precursors themselves. I am saying they might be direct descendants, Wheeler clarified. The precursors did not seed Earth. They came from Earth, or their ancestors did. The records are unclear about the exact timeline. But Sol 3, which the humans call Earth, appears to be the precursor home world. Or one of them. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Representatives shouted questions and arguments. Some refused to believe that a primitive preftal species could be the origin of the galaxy's greatest ancient civilization. Others demanded more proof. Kes stood and waited for silence. Her military bearing commanded respect even among those who disagreed with her. I have additional information that supports the Archavist theory. Our monitoring stations have intercepted human communications. We have learned more about their response to the Wanderers' call. She activated a new display showing human spacecraft and communication equipment. The humans created a project called the Cosmic Heritage Initiative. There, scientists theorized that ancient civilizations might have left messages in space. They built technology specifically to search for these messages. When the Wanderers' call reactivated, they detected it immediately with preftal technology. Someone asked skeptically. Impossible, improbable but not. Impossible, Kess replied. The humans used quantum communication. Arrays, primitive versions of our own. Systems but functional. They detected the energy spike when the beacon activated. Then they did something remarkable. They decoded the precursor language, Velar. Took over the presentation, human. Scientists discovered that ancient structures on Earth contain mathematical patterns, pyramids, stone monuments, and astronomical alignments. These patterns match the precursor communication protocols. The humans call them mysteries or coincidences. But I believe they are messages. The precursors left encoded information on Earth itself before the scattering. He pulled up images of human monuments and overlaid them with precursor mathematical sequences. The correlation was undeniable, the same geometric ratios, the same prime number sequences, the same harmonic relationships appeared in both. When the humans decoded the Wanderer's call, Velar continued, they recognized these patterns. They understood they were communicating with their own ancestors. Their response was not just acknowledgement. It was a declaration. They were announcing that the children of the precursors had survived and were ready to reclaim their heritage. Mord stood and walked to the central display. His 6 arms moved in gestures of deep thought. If this is true, then we must reconsider everything. Our entire civilization exists because the precursors seeded our worlds. We built our societies on precursor technology and knowledge. We have always been the children of a lost parent civilization. Now you tell us that parent civilization still exists, changed but alive on a single death world, a Class 9 death world. Kess added, we must not forget what that designation means. Earth's environmental hostility rating is at the maximum level. Extreme temperature variations, violent weather systems, tectonic instability, aggressive predator species, and countless deadly microorganisms. The precursors who stayed on that world or were sent there were subjected to 80,000 years of brutal evolutionary pressure. Velar nodded grimly. I have reviewed human history. From our observation data, they have known nothing but struggle, competition with megapo that could kill them easily, ice ages that forced migration or extinction, diseases that wiped out entire populations, and constant warfare among themselves. Yet they not only survived but adapted and advanced. He showed images of human civilization through the ages, cave paintings, ancient cities, industrial societies, and finally space stations and rockets. They went from stone tools to space flight in approximately 10,000 years. That is faster than any other known species in galactic history. Their rate of technological advancement is extraordinary because they had to advance or die, Kess said quietly. Natural selection on a death world does not allow for slow development. The council debated for hours. Some representatives argued for immediate contact. If the humans were truly precursor descendants, they deserve to know their heritage. Others insisted that the non-inference protocols existed for good reasons. Pre-FTL contact could cause cultural contamination or psychological trauma. Finally, Mord called for a vote. We will send a covert observation team to the Sol system. The team will assess the situation and report back. No direct contact unless circumstances make it Absolutely necessary. The majority voted in support. Wheeler would lead the scientific team. Kess would command the military observers. They would leave immediately. As the session ended, Wheeler reviewed more human data. He read their literature, studied their art, and listened to their music. One thing became clear: the humans knew they were alone in the universe. Every message they sent into space carried note of desperate hope. Every search for alien life reflected a deep longing for connection. They did not know they were the ancestors the galaxy had been waiting for. The observation team assembled quickly, 3 science vessels and 2 military escorts. They would travel to the Sol system using stealth technology that would hide them from human detection. The journey would take several days, even at faster than light speeds. During the trip, Wheeler studied everything he could about human biology. The genetic analysis from long-range scans was limited but revealing. Human DNA contained markers that matched precursor genetic sequences in the historical database. But there were significant changes, adaptations, and mutations caused by Earth's harsh environment. Humans were stronger than precursors had been. Their immune systems were more robust. Their ability to process different foods was greater. Their tolerance for temperature extremes was higher. Evolution had taken the precursor genetic baseline and enhanced it for survival on a world that killed everything else. Kess joined him in the research lab. She looked at the human genetic data with professional interest. They are predators, she observed. Binocular vision for tracking prey, omnivorous digestive system, endurance hunting capabilities. The precursors became apex predators to survive on Earth. They also show remarkable cooperation skills. Wheeler added, human societies are complex. They form family groups, tribes, nations, and global organizations. They compete but also collaborate. That is unusual for apex predators. That is what makes them dangerous, Kess replied. They have both the individual capability to be threats and the social structure to organize those threats into coordinated action. If they decide we are enemies, they will be formidable opponents. Wheeler hoped it would not come to that. The humans had responded to the Wanderer's call with curiosity and intelligence, not aggression. That gave him hope that first contact, if it became necessary, could be peaceful. The observation team dropped out of faster than light travel at the edge of the Sol system. Immediately, their sensors registered the hostile conditions of the inner system, solar radiation, astral fields, and the massive gravity well of the system's gas giants created a dangerous environment. And their third planet from the sun was Earth, beautiful and deadly, exactly as the reports described. The team moved into position, cloaking their ships and preparing their observation equipment. They would watch and wait and learn everything they could about humanity before deciding what to do next. Wheeler looked at the blue planet on his screen and whispered a prayer to whatever powers might listen. The galaxy was about to meet its lost ancestors. He hoped everyone was ready for what came next. The observation post orbited Earth at a safe distance, hidden by advanced cloaking technology. Wheeler stood before the main viewing screen, watching the planet rotate below. From space, Earth looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. It was beautiful. Then he checked the environmental readings and remembered why beauty could be deceiving. Surface temperature variations of 70 degrees in a single-day cycle. The science officer reported atmospheric pressure systems creating wind speeds over 300 km per hour, tectonic plate movement causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, ocean currents that can generate waves 30 meters high. Kess reviewed the data with grim satisfaction. And that is just the geology end. Whether the biological readings are worse, we have identified over 1,500 species capable of killing a human through venom, disease, or physical attack. The planet is trying to kill everything that lives on it, yet the humans thrive. Wheeler observed. He pulled up population data from their long-range scans. Over 8 billion individuals spread across every continent. They have adapted to environments ranging from frozen tundra to burning deserts. They live in conditions that would kill most galactic species within hours. The observation team had spent 3 days monitoring human communications and activities. What they discovered amazed and concerned them in equal measure. The humans were far more advanced than their prefrontal status suggested. Wheeler reviewed intercepted internet transmissions. They call it the information age. Global communication networks, massive databases of knowledge, artificial intelligence programs, quantum computing research. They are developing technologies that most species only achieve after first contact with galactic civilization. To quote, they are doing it on their own. Kess added, without guidance or assistance, through pure trial and error and innovation. That is both impressive and dangerous. The team analyzed human history through recovered documents and broadcasts. The story they pieced together was one of constant struggle and adaptation. Wars that killed millions, diseases that devastated populations, natural disasters that destroyed cities. Yet humanity kept pushing forward. They have a phrase, Wheeler said, reading from a translated document. Survival of the fittest. They understand that their world has shaped them through natural selection. They take pride in their resilience. One of the science team members pulled up genetic analysis. The human genome shows evidence of multiple near-extinction events. Their population crashed to just a few thousand individuals several times in their history. Each time they recovered and grew stronger. The genetic bottleneck should have weakened them. Instead, it concentrated beneficial survival traits. Wheeler began to understand what Earth had done to the precursor colonists. The planet was not just a death world. It was a forge. Every generation that survived passed on slightly better genes, stronger immune systems, faster reflexes, better problem-solving abilities, more efficient metabolism. Over 80,000 years, the accumulation of these tiny advantages created something new. The humans were not precursors anymore. They were what precursors became after countless generations of survival on a world that accepted nothing less than perfection. I have found something significant, Kess announced. She displayed intercepted communications from a human research facility, the Cosmic Heritage Initiative. This is the program that detected the Wanderer's call. I have access to their internal documents. Wheeler read through the files with growing fascination. The initiative was led by a human named Dr. G1 Park, she was a linguist and mathematician who specialized in ancient human cultures. Her theory was revolutionary among her people. Dr. Park believed that ancient human civilizations had been contacted by an older intelligence. She pointed to mathematical patterns in prehistoric monuments as evidence. The Great Pyramid's dimensions encoded the ratio of Earth's circumference to its diameter. Stone circles aligned with astronomical events predicted thousands of years in advance. Temple complexes incorporated prime number sequences into their architecture. Most human scientists dismissed her theories as coincidence or pattern-seeking behavior, but Dr. Park was convinced. She believed humanity's ancestors had received knowledge from someone or something else. The Cosmic Heritage Initiative was her attempt to find proof. When the Wanderer's call reactivated, Dr. Park's equipment detected it immediately. She recognized the mathematical protocols because they matched the patterns in Earth's ancient structures. She spent 72 hours straight decoding the message with her team. Wheeler watched a recorded video of the moment Dr. Park realized what she had found. The human woman stared at her computer screen with tears running down her face. Her voice shook as she spoke to her colleagues. It is real. It has always been real. We are not alone. We were never alone. Someone left us a message. They have been waiting for us to be ready to hear it, and now they have called to us again. The team had crafted a response using the same mathematical language. They transmitted it from the Pioneer Alpha probe at the edge of the solar system. The message was simple but profound. It announced that humanity had received the call and understood its meaning. It asked for more information. It expressed hope for contact. She believes the precursors are still out there somewhere, Wheeler said quietly. She thinks they are waiting for humanity to join them among the stars. She has no idea that the precursors vanished millennia ago. She does not know that she and her people are the precursors, changed by time but still carrying their legacy. Cass was less moved by the emotional aspects. What concerns me is what happens next. According to their communications, the humans are preparing a mission. They are sending ships to the Wanderer's call location. Ships. Wheeler was surprised. They barely have interplanetary capability. How can they reach deep space? Desperation and innovation. Cass replied. She showed the team detailed plans the humans had developed. They call it Project Horizon. They are retrofitting their largest spacecraft with experimental drives. The ships will travel at sublight speeds, but they will be heavily shielded and equipped with cryogenic systems. The crew will sleep for most of the journey. It will take years, but they can reach the beacon. Wheeler studied the ship designs with professional admiration. The humans had taken basic physics and engineering principles and pushed them to theoretical limits. The ships were crude compared to galactic technology, but functional. They would work. They are also arming the ships, Cass added. Grimly, she highlighted weapon systems in the design documents: nuclear missiles, rail guns, directed energy weapons. They are preparing for the possibility that whatever they find at the beacon might be hostile. They have survived on a death world, Wheeler said. They assume the universe is as dangerous as Earth. They are taking precautions. Well, wise precautions, Cass admitted. But it complicates our situation. If we Reveal ourselves, they might see us as threats. The observation team continued. Monitoring for another 2 days, they watched the humans assemble their fleet. At a space station orbiting Earth, 3 ships, each one carried a crew of 20. Humans in cryogenic pods, scientific equipment filled the cargo holds, weapon systems were integrated into the hull. Designs the human governments had debated the mission for weeks. Some argued it was too dangerous, others insisted humanity had to take the risk. In the end, the desire to know their place in the universe won out. The mission was approved and funded. Dr. Park was selected as the mission's chief scientist. Wheeler watched her prepare for the journey through security camera footage. She was middle-aged by human standards, with dark hair beginning to show gray. Her eyes held determination and hope in equal measure. In a final interview before departure, a human journalist asked Dr. Park what she hoped to find at the beacon. Answers, she replied simply, for all of human history, we have looked at the stars and wondered if we are alone. We have told ourselves stories about gods and visitors from the sky. We have built monuments and searched for meaning. Now we have proof that someone else is out there or was out there. Whatever we find will change everything. We will finally know our place in the cosmos. The human fleet launched on schedule. Wheeler watched the ships accelerate away from Earth, following the coordinates of the Wanderer's call. Their drives were inefficient and their speed was slow by galactic standards, but they were moving. Kess turned to Wheeler. We need to make a decision. Do we observe from a distance and report to the council, or do we follow them? Wheeler did not hesitate. We follow them. When they reach the beacon, something significant will happen. The Wanderer's call has not transmitted for 80,000 years. It reactivated for a reason. Whatever that reason is, we need to be there to witness it. Kess nodded. And if the beacon does something unexpected, if it poses a danger to the humans, then we will violate every council protocol and make contact to protect them. Wheeler replied firmly. The precursors built that beacon. If the humans are precursor descendants, then the beacon is their heritage. We have no right to interfere, but we have an obligation to ensure their safety. The observation team broke orbit and began following the human fleet at a safe distance. The ships moved through space slowly, their primitive drives burning steadily. It would take the humans 3 months to reach the Wanderer's call location. The observation team could make the journey in days, but they matched the human speed. Wheeler used the time to analyze more data and prepare reports for the council. Kess drilled her military personnel on first contact protocols and combat scenarios. As Earth shrank behind them, Wheeler looked at the human ships on his display screen. 3 small vessels carrying humanity's hope and curiosity toward an ancient mystery. They had no idea that the galaxy was watching. They did not know that their journey would reshape civilizations thousands of light years away. Humanity was going home to meet its ancestors. The observation team could only watch and wait to see what happened when the children finally found what their parents had left behind. The Wanderer's call hung in the void like a monument to forgotten dreams. Wheeler studied the ancient beacon through his observation equipment as the human fleet approached. The structure was enormous, easily 500 m across, built from materials that still functioned after 80 millennia in the harsh environment of space. They are slowing down, Kess reported, decelerating for final approach. Their navigation is precise despite their primitive equipment. Quotes, the 3 human ships moved into position around the beacon with careful coordination. Wheeler could see through the external cameras as humans began waking from their cryogenic sleep. The process took hours. Medical systems checked vital signs. Crew members helped each other through the confusion of revival. Dr. Park was among the first to fully wake. Even through the grainy footage, Wheeler could see her excitement. She moved to the command deck immediately and stared at the beacon through the viewports. Her expression was one of wonder and triumph. The human ships deployed scanning equipment and began examining the beacon. Their instruments were basic but effective. Slowly they built a detailed picture of the structure's composition and design. Wheeler monitored their communications as scientists discussed the findings. The materials are not naturally occurring, one human scientist said over the radio. Molecular structures we have never seen before, some kind of advanced composite that resists radiation and temperature extremes. This technology is centuries beyond our current capabilities. Dr. Park's voice joined the conversation. Focus on the mathematical harmonics. The beacon's shape is not arbitrary. Look at the ratios between the different sections. They match the patterns from Earth's ancient structures. This is definitely the same source. The humans worked methodically for several hours. They mapped every detail of the beacon's exterior. They analyzed its energy signatures. They documented everything with the thoroughness of scientists who understood they were witnessing something historic. Then the beacon responded to their presence. Wheeler's instruments registered a sudden surge in the beacon's power output. The ancient structure began to glow with soft blue light. New energy patterns activated across its surface, creating complex geometric shapes that pulsed in rhythmic sequences. The humans are detecting it too, Kess said, watching their radio chatter increase in urgency and excitement. A transmission beam shot out from the beacon directly toward the lead human ship. Dr. Park's ship, Wheeler, watched as the beam made contact and began downloading data into the human computer systems. It is scanning them. Kess realized the beacon is checking their biological signatures. The transmission lasted 30 seconds. Then the beacon's light intensified. Holographic projection appeared in space between the beacon and the human ships. The projection showed text in the ancient precursor language, but as Wheeler watched, it shifted and changed. Adapting itself, the text became Korean, Dr. Park's native language. The beacon was translating itself. Wheeler quickly translated the message for his own team. Authentication protocol initiated. Genetic markers detected and analyzed. Comparison to database profiles. Progress, match confirmed at 97%. Similarity, variant pattern consistent with natural evolutionary adaptation. Over extended time period, conclusion. Authenticated inheritor detected. Welcome home. W. The human ships erupted in cheering. Wheeler could hear the joy and relief in their voices over the radio channels. They had traveled for 3 months through the void, hoping for confirmation that they were not alone in the universe. Now they had it, but the beacon was not finished. The holographic display expanded, filling the space around the human ships with images and data. It showed a star map of incredible detail. Thousands upon thousands of star systems, marked with symbols and notations. That is the precursor empire, Velar breathed. The beacon is showing them the full extent of the civilization that built it. The map showed more than territory. It showed trade routes, colony worlds, research stations, and military outposts. It showed a civilization that had spread across a significant portion of the galaxy. At its height, the precursor empire must have been magnificent. Then the map changed. New symbols appeared, spreading across the precursor territory like a plague. The symbols were colored red and moved in waves, consuming star system after star system. The precursor empire began to shrink, its borders collapsing inward as the red symbols advanced. A war, Kess said quietly. They were attacked. Map showed the precursors fighting back. Blue symbols, representing their fleets, engaged the red threat. Battles were fought across hundreds of systems, sometimes the blue one, often the red prevailed. The war continued for what the timeline indicated was approximately 2,000 years. Precursors were losing. The final stage of the map showed the precursor empire reduced to just a few core systems. The timeline indicated 80,000 before the present. Then the map showed something new. Thousands of small blue dots dispersed in all directions, fleeing the collapsing empire and heading toward distant, unmarked systems. The scattering, Velar watched as the precursors sent their people away to survive. One of those blue dots traveled to the very edge of the map to a system that was labeled but not marked as part of the empire, Sol system. Earth. The human communications had gone silent. Velar imagined them staring at the display, trying to process what it meant. Dr. Park's voice finally broke the silence, shaky but determined. They sent us away, our ancestors. They sent us to Earth to survive. Whatever was destroying them, we were refugees. Earth was not our prison, it was our sanctuary. The beacon's display changed. Again, it showed a single planet. Beautiful and terrible Earth as it had been 80,000 years ago. The display showed precursor ships arriving and depositing populations. Then the ships left, never to return. The beacon showed Earth's timeline accelerating. Ice ages came and went. The precursor colonists adapted or died. Generations passed. The knowledge of their origin faded into legend and myth, but the genetic memory remained. The drive to reach for the stars never disappeared. Even after thousands of years trapped on a single world, the display showed modern humanity launching their first satellites, then their first astronauts, then their space stations. It showed the Pioneer Alpha probe detecting the beacon's reactivation. It showed the response signal, and finally it showed the 3 human ships arriving at this very location. The timeline completed a circle. The scattered children had found their way back. Velar made a decision. He turned to Kess. We have to reveal ourselves. This moment is too important. The humans deserve to know they are not alone, and the council must understand what is happening here. Kess nodded. Slowly, I agree, but we must be careful. The humans are armed and far from home. They may react with fear or aggression. Then we will approach peacefully and hope they recognize our intentions. Velar replied. The observation team deactivated their cloaking systems. The 3 ships became visible to human sensors immediately. Alarms sounded on the human vessels. Veeler watched their weapon systems power up and their ships maneuver into defensive positions. Veeler opened a communication channel on all frequencies. Human vessels, this is Senior Archivist of the Galactic Council. We mean you know. Harm, we have been observing your journey. We wish to speak with you. There was a long silence. Veeler could imagine the chaos and debate happening on the human ships. They had come looking for evidence of ancient aliens. Now they were being contacted by modern ones. Dr. Park's voice responded, controlled but tense. This is Dr. G1 Park commanding the human vessel, Hopes. Dawn, you have been watching us for how long? We began observation when you responded to the Wanderer's call. Veeler answered honestly, we needed to understand who you were and what you knew. The implications of your response were significant. Why did you not make contact sooner? Dr. Park asked. Galactic law prohibits contact with preftal civilizations, Veeler explained. But circumstances have changed. What the beacon has revealed changes everything. You have a right to know the truth. Another silence. Then Dr. Park spoke. Again, lower your weapons. We will do the same. Let us meet face to face. If you have come this far to speak with us, then we should speak properly. Relief washed through Veeler. The humans were willing to talk despite their fear and suspicion. That alone spoke well of their character. The ships moved closer together. Veeler and a small diplomatic team prepared to transfer to the human vessel. Kess insisted on coming along with security officers. The humans were taking the same precautions. Transfer was accomplished through docking procedures that required patience from both sides. Human technology was barely compatible with galactic equipment, but eventually the airlocks aligned and pressurized. Veeler stepped through the airlock into the human ship and got his first direct look at the species he had been studying. For weeks, Dr. Park stood in the corridor with 5 other humans. They wore simple spacesuits with helmets retracted. Their expressions showed a mixture of fear, curiosity, and determination. They were smaller than Veeler expected, fragile-looking compared to most galactic species, but their eyes were alert and intelligent. These were the survivors of a death world. They had earned their place here through courage and capability. Dr. Park stepped forward and extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Veeler had researched the custom. He carefully extended his own manipulator and grasped her hand briefly. Welcome to Hope's Dawn, Dr. Park said. Veeler agreed completely. The galaxy and humanity had finally met. Now they needed to understand what that meeting meant for everyone involved. The conference room on Hope's Dawn was small but functional. Veeler sat across from Dr. Park and her senior staff. Kess stood near the door with human security personnel, both groups watching each other carefully. The initial tension had faded, replaced by cautious curiosity. Let me understand correctly, Dr. Park said, reviewing the data had shared. The Galactic Council is an organization of hundreds of species. All of these species originated from biological seeding programs created by our ancestors, the precursors. And you have been watching humanity for decades, waiting to see if we would develop enough to join you. That is correct, Veeler confirmed, though we did not know you were precursor descendants. Until recently, we thought you were another seeded species. The truth is far more significant. Dr. Park looked at the star maps showing the extent of galactic civilization. Thousands of worlds, countless species, all thriving in the space that had once belonged to humanity's ancestors. So the galaxy has been populated by our children, and we are the parents who were sent away to survive in a manner of speaking. Yes, Wheeler agreed, though the timeline is complex. The precursors seeded worlds long before they vanished. Those seeded species evolved and developed their own civilizations over tens of thousands of years. By the time humanity responded to the Wanderers' call, the galaxy had forgotten the precursors were anything more than legend. One of Dr. Park's scientists spoke up. What happened to the rest of the precursors, the ones who stayed behind to fight? Wheeler shook his head. Sadly, we do not know. The records are incomplete. The precursor empire simply disappeared. No bodies were ever found. No final messages, just empty worlds and functioning technology. The Galactic Council has been searching for answers for millennia. Now we have a chance to learn more. He activated another display showing the beacon's final transmission. The Wanderer's call contained one last piece of information, coordinates to a world the precursors called Origin Prime. We believe it was their capital world, or one of their most important centers. The beacon indicated the world is intact but abandoned. Dr. Park leaned forward intently. You want us to go there with you? I want to propose a joint expedition, Wheeler said carefully. You are the precursors' direct descendants. You have a right to see your heritage. And frankly, the beacon responded to your genetic markers. It may respond differently to human presence than to galactic species. You may be able to access systems and information that we cannot. Kes spoke from her position by the door. There are also practical concerns. If Origin Prime contains precursor technology and knowledge, both humanity and the Galactic Council have interests in how that information is managed. A joint expedition ensures cooperation rather than competition. Dr. Park discussed the proposal with her team in rapid Korean. Wheeler understood enough to follow the debate. Some humans worried about traveling even deeper into unknown space with aliens they had just met. Others argued this was the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to understand humanity's true origins was too important to refuse. Finally, Dr. Park turned back to Wheeler. We will agree to a joint expedition on certain conditions. First, any technology or knowledge we find will be shared freely between humanity and the Galactic Council. Second, Earth must be informed of this. Contact immediately. Our governments need to know what has happened. Third, we want guarantees that humanity will be treated as equal partners, not primitive species to be managed. Wheeler felt relief wash through him. I can agree to all of those terms, though I must warn you that informing Earth will require Council approval. Broadcasting our contact to your entire civilization is a significant step, a necessary step. Dr. Park insisted. We cannot keep this secret. Humanity has been alone for its entire history. They deserve to know. They are part of something larger. I will contact the Council immediately. Wheeler promised. The communication with the Galactic Council took hours due to the distance. When Speaker Morath finally responded, his massive form filled the holographic display. He listened carefully to Wheeler's report and recommendations. You are asking for unprecedented actions. Mord said slowly. First contact with a preftal species, immediate integration into council affairs, access to precursor heritage sites. These are not small requests, archivist. These are not small circumstances. Speaker Wheeler replied, the humans have proven themselves capable and intelligent. They survived on a death world that should have destroyed them. They developed advanced technology independently. They decoded precursor languages and reached the Wanderer's call through their own efforts. They have earned our respect. Thank you for watching this. 1. Their preca and context and disposes and dispense. They have earned our respect. They developed advanced technology. Dr. Park stepped into view of the holographic pickup. Speaker Morthath, humanity did not ask to be separated from our ancestors. We did not choose to be sent to Earth or to spend 80,000 years fighting for survival. But we did survive. We thrived and we reached back out to the stars the moment we were able. If that does not prove we deserve a place among the species of the galaxy, then nothing will. Mord was silent for a long moment. Then he made a gesture that Wheeler recognized as acceptance. You make a compelling argument, Dr. Park. The Council will agree to your terms. We will announce first contact to your world. We will treat humanity as equal partners in exploring the precursor heritage, and we will begin the process of integrating Earth into the Galactic Council. He paused, then added, but you must understand what this means. Once contact is made public, there is no going back. Your civilization will change forever. Your politics, your economics, your understanding of your place in the universe, everything will be different. Dr. Park nodded firmly. We understand. And we are ready. The joint expedition to Origin Prime took 2 weeks of travel. The human ships could not match the speed of the galactic vessels, so Wheeler's team provided upgraded drives as an initial gesture of cooperation. The humans adapted to the new technology with remarkable speed. During the journey, Wheeler and Dr. Park spent hours in conversation. They discussed human history and galactic civilization. They shared knowledge about science, art, and philosophy. Despite the vast differences between their species, they found common ground in their shared curiosity and desire to understand the universe. Origin Prime appeared on the sensors as a gray and blue world orbiting a yellow star. The surface showed the unmistakable signs of advanced civilization. Massive structures rose from the continents. Cities sprawled across the landscape, but no life signs registered. The world was empty, waiting silently for someone to return. The expedition landed at the largest structure, pyramid-like building that dominated the central continent. The architecture was impossibly precise. Every angle was exact. Every surface was smooth. Even after 80,000 years of neglect, the building showed no signs of decay. Wheeler and Dr. Park led the initial exploration team. Human and galactic scientists worked side by side, documenting everything. The interior of the structure was filled with corridors and chambers of varying sizes. Holographic displays activated as they passed, showing precursor text and images. At the heart of the structure, they found a massive circular chamber. In the center stood a pillar of crystalline material that pulsed with soft light. Dr. Park approached it carefully and placed her hand on its surface. The room exploded with light and sound. Holographic figures appeared all around them, showing precursors in their daily lives. They looked remarkably human, though there were subtle differences in proportion and features. The holograms showed the precursor civilization at its height. Scientific research, artistic creation, exploration, and discovery. Then the holograms showed the war. The images were difficult to watch. Entire worlds burned, fleets shattered, populations evacuated in desperate haste. The precursors fought with courage and determination, but they were losing against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. The final hologram showed a gathering of precursor leaders. They debated their options with visible desperation. Finally, they made their decision. Scattering would be initiated. Their people would be sent to distant worlds. Knowledge would be preserved in beacons, like the Wanderer's Call, and a message would be left for whoever came after. The hologram shifted to show a single precursor woman speaking directly to the recording device. Her expression was calm but sad. Wheeler recognized the location. She was standing in this very chamber. Dr. Park activated the translation system, and the woman's words became understandable to whoever finds this message. We hope you are our descendants. We hope the scattering succeeded and that you survived and thrived wherever we sent you. We could not stay to guide you. The enemy was too strong, and we had to draw them away from the sanctuary worlds. We do not know if we will win this war, but we know that you will carry our legacy forward. That knowledge gives us hope even in our darkest hour. The woman paused, then continued, we have left you our technology, our history, and our knowledge. Use them wisely. Build a better civilization than we managed. Learn from our mistakes and remember that you are not defined by your origins but by your choices. The universe is vast and full of wonders and dangers. Face both with courage and wisdom. That is all we can ask. Hologram faded. The chamber returned to its soft ambient light. Dr. Park stood silently, tears running down her face. Wheeler felt his own emotions stirring. The message had been meant for humanity, but it touched every being in the chamber. The expedition spent 3 months exploring Origin Prime. They found libraries of information, manufacturing facilities, research laboratories, and living quarters. Everything was preserved perfectly, waiting for the precursors to return. But the precursors never came back from their war. Only their children returned, changed by time and hardship, but still carrying the spark that had once built an empire. Among the stars, Dr. Park and Wheeler stood together in the central chamber. One final time before the expedition returned home, the pillar of crystal glowed softly between them. What will you do now? Wheeler asked. You have your answers. You know where you came from and why you were sent to Earth. What comes next for humanity? Dr. Park smiled. We will do what we have always done. We will survive. We will learn. We will grow. But now we will do it as part of something larger. The precursors gave us life and sent us a way to protect us. Now we will honor that gift by helping to protect and guide the civilizations they seeded. We are ready to take our place in the galaxy. Wheeler felt profound respect for this small, determined woman and her species. They had endured 80,000 years of isolation on a world that tried to kill them. They had climbed from caves to starships through pure determination. And now they were ready to share that strength with the galaxy that had unknowingly waited for them. The Galactic Council formally welcomed humanity as its newest member species. In a ceremony broadcast across thousands of worlds, Earth became the first preftal civilization ever granted immediate full membership. The decision was controversial, but no one could deny that humanity had earned the right. Dr. Park represented Earth at the council chambers. She stood before representatives of hundreds of species and spoke with quiet confidence. Humanity thanks the Galactic Council for this welcome. We know we have much to learn, but we also have much to share. We bring the perspective of survivors, the ingenuity of problem solvers, and the hope of those who never stopped reaching for the stars. Together we can build something better than what came before. Together we can ensure that the sacrifices our ancestors made were not in vain. The Council voted to establish joint facilities on Origin Prime. Human and galactic scientists would work together to understand precursor technology. The knowledge would be shared freely, ensuring that all species benefited. Wheeler accepted an appointment as the first Council liaison to Earth. He would help guide humanity's integration into galactic society while learning more about their unique perspective and capabilities. As he prepared to travel to Earth for the first time, Wheeler looked at images of the blue and green world that had forged humanity through hardship. It was still a death world by any reasonable standard, but it was also home to a species that had survived the impossible and emerged stronger for it. The galaxy had heard a signal lost for 80,000 years. Humanity had spoken back, and in doing so, they had reminded everyone that the story of the precursors was not finished. It was only just beginning again, with new voices joining the ancient song. The children had come home.